Oh, my goodness. Well, good evening. It is a cold one outside. And it is that time of the year to light a fire and get cuddly warm. And reflect upon the day, I guess, is the best to say. We are here in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And winter is upon us. We had a little bit of rain the other day. It swiftly turned into our first snow that was going to stay with us at least. And that snow has now turned to a nice icy covering. That tells us it's here to stay. Good evening. My name is Russell Raymond Vanoss, and I'm here on behalf of Minnesota Business Global Community. And tonight, we are settling into a nice warm fire as we've just experienced the first of our winter snows coming into Minneapolis, Minnesota. I'm glad that you were able to join us this evening. We've just come through an election cycle in Minneapolis. This has been a very important election cycle, as it is determining, or did determine, the leadership moving forward into the next 2 to 4 years. 3 amendments were top of the order here that, if passed, would change the way that Minneapolis would be able to be in leadership. The 14 departments have been led by the city council, as well as the mayor's department. This disparity in leadership has been problematic, to say the least. And these 3 charter amendments were there in place to reflect the voters' wishes and to provide opportunity for change within these charters in leadership for Minneapolis. The first charter amendment did pass, and that directed the leadership for the city of Minneapolis departments to come out of the mayor's office in ongoing discussions to determine the direction in a broad sense of those departments. However, the day-to-day management and leadership would be determined by the mayor's office and ultimately Mayor Fry. The second amendment, which dealt with the direction that the police department was going to be led, did not pass. And so at present, the current direction for the police department will remain in status quo at this point in time. Certainly, the city council and the mayor are in discussions with the police federation, as well as the police union, as well as the police chief, to try and find a way to reform the police department from within. The Third Amendment had to do with the financial aspect of housing within the context of Minneapolis. And that did find passage. And that amendment will allow the city council to affect housing in Minneapolis for rental units. And as such, they will have the opportunity to set the ability for landlords to have an increase. And so with this new charter amendment, there will be the ability for the city council to have rent control in place throughout the city of Minneapolis. The idea behind this is most certainly a good opportunity to bring affordable housing to a higher level for the residents in Minneapolis, the renters in Minneapolis. And of course, landlords have concern over this, or housing development has concern over this, as for obvious reasons, it affects their bottom line. This charter did pass, and the city council will be in discussion with the mayor's office, as well as business leaders throughout the community, as well as renters, through dialogue to determine the best path for this type of amendment. So that being said, we do have a change within the leadership of the city council. Mayor Fry is still solidly in place and will be so through this next election term. And I believe the mayor's office himself in particular will find an easier path than they have had over the last couple years in leadership for the city of Minneapolis. We will see how all of this plays out over the next 2 years. And hopefully this city of Minneapolis will find itself in a quieter state of being, more solidly found in leadership through the departments in cooperation with the mayor's office. And we have great hopes that the city of Minneapolis will find its way better placed under these new amendments. So back to what we are doing on a weekly basis going forward from here. After the elections, Mayor Fry has asked for business leaders in Minneapolis to come to the table after January 1st to enter into a dialogue in finding a new direction for Minneapolis to tackle the issues that have been plaguing the city over the last couple years. That permission has been given by the voters in a very close race, and that has been struck at this point to provide that opportunity. So that is what these discussions and these fireside chats will include. We will also be addressing the very serious issue of climate change and addressing that from a business standpoint to see the opportunities for business in our community to find a direction that will give the best opportunities within the scope of both the city government and business, as well as private citizens of Minneapolis, the public, to affect or find opportunity to affect change. So that being said, we would like you to join us on a weekly basis as we take these moments at the end of our day to discuss the future and to gain a better, clearer understanding of where we are presently and where we wish to journey towards. In the beginning, my personal experience has always been one of faith. And in that faith, I find it important to find compassion and forgiveness. And although that's not always apparent in my personal actions and in many others' experiences, we all understand that in moments of frustration and anger, apprehension, grief, and doubt, that it becomes difficult on a daily basis to find our bearings, keep our bearings, and know clearly what our direction should be. It is in that foundational belief that my faith carries me through to bring me to the right place at the right time. And in recognizing that space for what it is, I find myself increasingly satisfied with the blessings that I find in God's love. There are those who would say that religion and should not be involved within the context of a discussion of politics, and that it should not be at the table at a business meeting. and that doing so can only lead to animosity, conflict, and loss of business. And I would answer that voice in saying that if I do not stand upon the ground, that ground, carried by my faith, I would find myself as a person standing upon moving sands on the shore of an island someplace. With the movement of that sand as the emerging tides roll in and pull back out, with that sand moving out from beneath my feet, pulling the very foundation upon which I am relying upon to be stable. And that takes me further away from my ability to accomplish what I'm attempting to see on a daily basis or moving forward in business. It is in that light, and yes, I believe it is in light, as opposed to darkness, that I personally seek to see the direction of my travels, of our travels, in search for the satisfaction of our collective goals. To this end, and in the light of that present moment in time, I find the need to collect one's thoughts, my thoughts, gather around myself those who would listen, share, and discuss the future. And in the presence upon which we position ourselves, forge a new beginning upon ground that we find to be solid, dependable, upon which we can build and find common ground for us to grow. In this manifest destiny of our dreams, our purpose may be found, and our lives have more of an opportunity for fulfillment. And so we set in motion tonight. That is why we're here next to the fire, warming ourselves up. We would like to set in motion tonight the beginning of a series of weekly fireside chats. We will carry those on through the winter, and in the spring we may find a new place for this to bring brightness and light into the world that we work as we see spring arrive. We'll always look forward to that, but winter is upon us at this point. I personally enjoy it. I love the outdoors and nature, and Minneapolis is a wonderful opportunity for that. So with that being said, I thank you for taking your time this evening. And more importantly, I thank you for taking a leap of faith together with us. So let us begin this journey this evening, the 17th of November, 2021. It's been a hard couple of years, and the pandemic has not left our minds and experiences as of yet. However, we have good tools in place. With those tools, we have good opportunity for the economy to recover. And so it is to that we look forward to these weekly chats to discover new ways to bring this economic recovery to a higher standard, to address some of the social injustice issues that we are facing or have been facing in recent years more directly as Minneapolis residents. And most certainly, as we move forward through these discussions, we know, at least I know, that we do need to address the climate change that we have ignored for so long. So let's continue together, continue to have these fireside chats, and let's work together to find that common ground so that we can find new ways of addressing all of these issues. And so that being where we are at this moment, I can say that I've expressed my voice, and now we would like to hear from you. So if any of you would like to begin that part of the discussion by asking questions, bringing forward your voice and expressing where you see us to be today and where you would like to see us progress to be tomorrow. So let's begin that discussion.